No one saw the earth break open. They only heard Persephone scream, a sound so sharp it sliced through heaven and reached even the unmoving stars. One moment, she was laughing among the wildflowers. Sunlight tangled in her hair, and the next, the ground beneath her feet shuddered like a living beast. Shadows clawed upward, cold hands closing around her ankles, dragging her toward a darkness older than fear itself. The sky stayed blue. The birds kept singing, but the world had already begun to die. Because the moment Persephone vanished, summer took its final breath. The meadow of Nyssa slept beneath golden light. Wildflowers bent gently in the warm wind, their colors spilling across the earth like scattered jewels. Persephone walked among them, barefoot and unaware that destiny had already chosen her path. She laughed softly as she gathered petals, the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of harvest, carrying spring itself in her hands. Every step she took made the world bloom brighter, as if life followed her shadow. Yet beneath that living soil, something ancient stirred. The earth did not feel warm there. It pulsed. It waited. Deep in the unseen kingdom below, Hades watched through cracks in the world, his realm silent except for the echo of longing. He had ruled shadows for eternity, but even darkness can grow lonely. When his gaze found Persephone's light, the underworld trembled, not with fear, but with desire. Above, Persephone knelt beside a strange flower she had never seen before. Its petals shimmered like stolen moonlight in the afternoon sun. Drawn by curiosity, she reached for it, unaware that the flower was a trap grown from fate itself. The wind suddenly froze. Birds vanished into silence. Even the sky seemed to hold its breath. Then the ground split open. Stone screamed as the earth tore apart beneath Persephone's feet. A freezing wind rushed upward, carrying the scent of forgotten graves. From the wound in the world rose a black chariot pulled by immortal horses whose eyes burned like dying stars. At its reins stood Hades, tall, crowned in shadow, his gaze colder than winter's first night. Persephone tried to run, but the soil turned against her. Shadows wrapped around her ankles, dragging her backward. Her basket of flowers scattered across the meadow like broken promises. She cried out for her mother, her voice tearing through heaven, but no god answered in time. Hades reached for her. His touch was not cruel. It was inevitable. In one breath, light became darkness. The meadow vanished. The sky collapsed. And Persephone, child of spring, was pulled screaming into the eternal night of the underworld. Above the shattered earth, the wound sealed itself. The flowers withered. The wind returned. And the world pretended nothing had happened. Even as fate quietly began rewriting the seasons of mankind. Darkness swallowed Persephone like a living ocean. The air grew heavy, cold, and silent, pressing against her skin as if the underworld itself were breathing. The thunder of immortal hooves echoed across endless stone roads while the chariot raced deeper into shadow. Above her, the last thread of sunlight shrank into nothing, and with it vanished the world she had known. Persephone clutched her scattered breath, her heart beating like a trapped bird in her chest. She dared to look at the one who had taken her. Hades stood unmoving at the reins, his cloak flowing like smoke, his crown carved from night itself. His eyes were not cruel, yet they held the weight of eternity, the kind of gaze that had watched civilizations fade into dust. Persephone felt fear, yes, but also something stranger, the sense that fate had already written her name into his realm long before she was born. The path descended through caverns lit by ghostly fire. Towers of black crystal rose from the abyss, and rivers whispered with the voices of forgotten souls. Shadows drifted like mist, brushing Persephone's arms with memories that were not her own. Every step the chariot took carried her farther from spring, farther from warmth, farther from her mother's embrace. At last, the chariot slowed before colossal gates of iron and bone. They groaned open by unseen hands. Beyond them stood the palace of the dead, vast, silent, and terrifyingly beautiful. Marble floors gleamed like frozen moonlight. Columns stretched upward into endless darkness. This was not chaos. It was order built from sorrow. Hades stepped down first. When he turned to Persephone, his voice was low, echoing like distant thunder. "Do not fear the night," he said. "Even shadows have a heart." His words did not comfort her, but they did not wound her either. They hovered between warning and promise. Persephone's feet touched the underworld soil. In that instant, the air changed. The realm recognized her. Lamps ignited on their own. The palace whispered her name. The daughter of harvest stood trembling in the kingdom where nothing was meant to grow. Far above, Demeter felt it. A mother's soul knows when the world steals her child. Her laughter turned to ash. Her hands froze in the fields. And as Persephone took her first breath in the land of death, Demeter's grief began to poison the earth with winter. Two worlds had shifted. One had gained a queen. The other had begun to starve. Demeter searched the world like a storm wearing a mother's face. She crossed oceans of wheat and valleys of olive trees, calling Persephone's name until her voice shattered into the wind. No god confessed. The torches in her hands burned day and night, their flames fed by grief instead of oil. Wherever her feet touched, the soil began to tremble with sorrow. She questioned rivers. She questioned mountains. She even questioned the stars. But the heavens remained silent, hiding the truth behind their cold brilliance. Demeter's tears fell into the fields, yet nothing grew from them. Wheat bent into dust. Orchards curled inward like dying lungs. Summer slowly bled into a season no one had named yet, a season of waiting, hunger, and fear. At last, Helios, the all-seeing sun, could bear her agony no longer. From his burning chariot, he whispered the secret. He told her how the earth had opened. He told her whose hands had taken Persephone. And when Demeter heard the name of Hades, the world itself shuddered. Her sorrow hardened into wrath. Demeter withdrew her blessing from the land. Seeds refused to awaken. Rain forgot how to fall. Farmers prayed into empty skies while children watched their future starve. The gods on Olympus felt humanity's suffering rise like smoke into their halls. Mortals were fading, and with them, the worship that kept the gods eternal. Zeus, Lord of Thunder, finally spoke. The balance of existence was cracking. If Persephone remained below forever, the world above would die with her mother's grief. So he sent Hermes, the swift-footed messenger, racing into the underworld to reclaim the stolen spring. While Olympus trembled, Persephone wandered the palace of shadows. Fear still lived in her heart, yet something strange had begun to bloom within it. The underworld no longer pushed her away. It listened. Dark roses opened where her fingers brushed stone. Even silence softened when she passed. Hades watched from his throne of obsidian. He had not taken her to destroy her. He had taken her because eternity is unbearable when faced alone. Yet even kings of death cannot escape consequence. Olympus was moving. Fate was turning. And soon, Persephone would be forced to choose between the light she lost and the darkness that was quietly learning her name. The underworld stirred when Hermes arrived. Wind raced ahead of him through black corridors, whispering his presence into every shadow. Souls paused in their endless drifting. Torches bowed. Even the rivers of the dead slowed their eternal murmurs. The messenger of Olympus moved like a silver thought through darkness, carrying the command of thunder itself. He found Persephone standing in a silent garden no mortal had ever planted. Strange flowers bloomed there, fed not by sun, but by memory. Their petals glowed faintly beneath her touch, as if recognizing the life she carried within her. For the first time since her fall, Persephone did not look like a captive. She looked like something the underworld had begun to protect. "Daughter of Demeter," Hermes said gently, his voice cutting through shadow. "Your mother mourns you. The world above is dying in her grief. Zeus commands your return." The words struck Persephone's heart like forgotten sunlight. Images rushed back, warm fields, laughter, her mother's hands guiding hers through growing grain. Hope flared inside her chest, sudden and painful. She turned toward the distant gates of the realm, already feeling the pull of home. But fate is never simple. Hades appeared beside them like a gathering storm. His presence darkened the air, not with cruelty, but with power restrained. His eyes rested on Persephone, and for a moment, eternity itself seemed afraid to speak. He did not forbid her. He did not bind her. Instead, he stepped aside, opening the path. "Go," Hades said quietly. "The living world still claims you." Yet before Persephone could leave, an attendant of shadow placed a small fruit in her trembling hands, a pomegranate, deep red as capture bloodlight. Its skin shimmered, beautiful and dangerous. Persephone hesitated. She had tasted nothing since her fall. Hunger whispered through her veins. One seed would not matter, she thought. She bit gently. The sound was soft, almost innocent, but the underworld felt it. Stone inhaled. Rivers paused. Fate locked its grip around her soul. Hermes' eyes widened. Hades closed his. Because to eat the food of the dead is to belong to the dead. The gates of return still stood open, but Persephone was no longer the same girl who had fallen screaming from meadow. Destiny had written itself into her blood with the taste of a single, shining seed. Above, Demeter waited for her child. Below, the underworld quietly claimed its queen. And between those worlds, Persephone's life was about to be divided forever. Thunder rolled across Olympus when Persephone returned to the light. Hermes carried her upward through widening cracks in the world, and with every step, warmth bled back into her skin. The sky unfolded above her like a forgotten dream. Clouds parted. Sunlight touched her face for the first time since the meadow vanished beneath her feet. And when Persephone finally emerged, the earth itself seemed to recognize her breath. Demeter ran to her child. A goddess forgot her crown. She forgot the heavens. She fell to her knees and wrapped Persephone in trembling arms, as if afraid the world might steal her again. Their tears fell together, and where they touched the soil, life exploded. Grass rushed upward. Trees remembered their leaves. Rivers loosened their frozen hearts. Winter began to retreat like a defeated shadow. But Olympus cannot ignore fate. Zeus listened as Hermes spoke of the pomegranate seed. Silence crushed the hall of the gods. Persephone lowered her eyes, feeling destiny pulse inside her veins. One bite, one mistake, one bond written in eternal law. At last, Zeus raised his voice. She has eaten the food of the dead. She cannot belong only to the living. Demeter's heart shattered again. The fields trembled beneath her grief. But Zeus continued, balancing thunder with mercy. Persephone shall walk both worlds. For part of each year, she will reign beside Hades in the underworld. And for part, she will return to her mother and the light of earth. The decision rippled across existence. When Persephone descends, Demeter mourns. The world cools. Leaves fall. Fields sleep beneath frost. Winter is born from a mother's longing. When Persephone rises, Demeter rejoices. Flowers burst open. Rivers sing. The air fills with color and warmth. Spring returns because a daughter has come home. Yet Persephone is no longer only the girl of the meadow. She walks with calm through shadow now. In the underworld, souls bow when she passes. Dark roses bloom at her steps. She is gentle and she is powerful. The queen of death and the daughter of life, carrying both light and night within her heart. And so the world turns in her rhythm. Every winter whispers her descent. The skies grow pale, and frost laces the barren trees, as if the world itself holds its breath. Shadows lengthen, and a chilling silence spreads, hinting at the unseen journey she must take into the depths below. Every spring celebrates her return. Warm sunlight bursts through the clouds, awakening blossoms and painting the fields with color. Birds sing in jubilant chorus, and the air feels alive, as if nature itself rejoices at the return of the queen who brings life back to the world. Because long ago, when the earth split open beneath a field of flowers, Persephone did not only fall into darkness. She became the story that teaches the world how to die and how to bloom again. Persephone walks between worlds now, neither fully of light nor fully of shadow. The earth listens when she moves. Life bends to her rhythm. Seasons are her breath, and even death holds its silence in her presence. She is no longer a girl who fell. She is the queen who rose, and the world remembers her in every bloom, every frost, every fleeting sunset. When winter whispers through the trees, know she descends. When spring bursts through frozen earth, know she rises. Persephone, daughter, queen, an eternal bridge, reminds the world. Even in darkness, life waits to bloom again.